our overall trust index was 83%. Trust index in terms of pride in people about the company was 85%.
Wow.
Trust in leadership was 84%.
Wow.
Camaraderie, 83%. Fairness and respect was 80 to 83%.
The ability to become big, scale, the ability to become substantially faster, and the ability to do it while maintaining our resources at a certain standard or a level, right? That's what technology really enables. And we focus on these three aspects.
We want to ensure that the person at the ground level understand what every code change impact to the end customer.
It's all about leverage.
Hello and namaskar. My name is Ram Deshpande. I am the host of a new podcast series called The Lendingkart Show. In this series, we will be speaking with our leaders from Lendingkart, the people who are driving innovation and disrupting the finance industry like no other, and doing it as one team. I also recommend you to listen to our earlier podcast series, which was hosted by our colleague Kinney, where she had interviewed all our leaders. Those podcasts are available on our YouTube and Spotify channels. We take that discussion forward and get into further details of Lendingkart and the fintech industry overall. Now let's go and start the Lendingkart show. We are in an era where people are working from anywhere and everywhere. The technological world has seen a change, but the category of technology is still thriving. We have apps for everything, shopping, entertainment, everything. Even business loans. You can apply for a business loans within 5 minutes on Lendingkart. So आज के episode में हम बात करेंगे with Asit, who is our CHRO, and Giridhar, who is our CTO, to understand how are we building a strong workplace which is in tune with the changing trends in technology and also fostering a culture that suits the needs of Gen Zs and Millennials alike. So, Asit and Giri, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Ram.
Thank you, Ram.
Great. So, when I say Gen Z, Millennial, that must be very relatable, right?
Very much so.
So, let's test your Gen Z Millennial language. Tell me the full form of TLDR.
Over to you, Asit.
I need to call my son for this. I can correlate for this, but yes, for my
Too
son.
long, did not read.
Oh,
That's good. How about NSFW?
go ahead. I said I will call my son.
So what do we get once we do this quiz?
A big hug.
From
Ram,
NSFW?
you're game for this?
not safe for work.
Okay. All right. And the last one, TMI.
Go for it.
पता नहीं यार.
Pata nahi. Well, let's hope that this podcast is not going to be a TMI, which is too much information. But it's going to be
Yes.
fun to talk about all of the different things. But first of all, let me start. Asit, congratulations on being certified as a great place to work. I think
Thank
that
you
was
so
a
much.
phenomenal thing.
Thank you so much.
And it's such a proud moment for all of us. I think everyone included, because Giri also was playing the CHRO role before you joined for a few months. Right?
Yeah, I know how painful it was to take over from Giri after that.
Not an easy job for sure.
Yeah, I know.
On
So,
top of that, how much the mess he has created. It was not that easy too.
I know. I think, but things have changed significantly since you joined us.
Thank you.
But what I'd like to understand, what makes us a great place to work?
Thanks, Ram. So before this, congratulations to both of you also for making this GPTW first time. Obviously, when I joined, it was a dream for me, but personally, a dream for me to participate into Great Place to Work. Before I start about what makes us Great Place to Work, I would like to call a few numbers. So when we got the certification, the proud moment was that our overall trust index was 83%. 83% people have shown trust in us. On different categories, our trust index in terms of pride in people about the company was 85%.
Wow.
Trust in leadership was 84%.
Wow.
Camaraderie, 83%. Fairness and respect was 80 to 83%. So if I look at all the parameters on which we ask people to rate ourselves, our company and the culture, it was huge. So definitely, if I look at culture play a very, very important role for us in Lendingkart. I just need to pick up a line from famous management guru, Peter Drucker, that culture eats strategy for breakfast.
Oh, yeah.
Right? and it's whatever strategy you prepare, it'll fall flat if you don't have culture in place. So for us, it's a culture where it's strong culture of people-centric culture, which we follow in Lendingkart. Right from bias for action, trust, focus for people, empathy from leadership team for people are very huge. Frugal innovation. We encourage our people to go out, do innovate, fail fast, learn, and move on. Right. So some of the things which we strongly focus, encourage our employee to do that. So that's why we try to build a culture, and we are very, very confident that we'll build further on this and we'll be a better place all the time.
Giri, what do you think? Do you agree with all the points Asit mentioned?
Yeah, first, it's nice to hear Asit rattling off numbers. You know, he has a background in statistics.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
So I totally agree with what Asit says. I mean, Lendingkart is a very unique place. And I keep saying this, that we are a no excuses workplace, and it's an organization where if you want to do something, you're totally empowered to do that. You can pick a problem, you can chase it down, irrespective of whether it's your core area or not. I mean, I'm a good example of that. Like you said, I had no clue of what HR was, but before Asit joined, I spent some time doing that. We have product managers who run business at Lendingkart. They're totally empowered to hire operations folks and run a parallel operations org in certain experiments. So I think from a culture point of view, it's a place that empowers. It's a place that trusts you to do the right thing for Lendingkart, and that's what I really, really like about Lendingkart, and it's something that I tell everyone who would like to join us.
Yeah, great. One thing that still remains though to be, and this is something that HR leaders around the world probably get a lot, and that's about attrition, which still remains a problem for the larger technological industry. And I've seen that attrition numbers have gone down for us. What is it? What's your opinion on the attrition situation?
Thanks, that was a good question, because attrition is something on top of mind for everyone. Any discussion which you go, attrition is something which is a talking point for people. If you look at last year or last to last year now, 2021, that was a phase which we were talking about, the Great Resignation. And that happened during pandemic, post-pandemic, when it was all because of pandemic distress, digital upsurge, disruption in supply chain. So that created a lot of resignation. What we have seen is last year we have really worked well in terms of attrition. Our overall attrition percentage gone down by 15 percentage point from the previous year.
Wow.
So significant change we brought into our system overall. But for us, even a single attrition or exit is painful, especially when the attrition is bad attrition. When our key people leave the organization, because that create a lot of vacuum for us.
Yeah.
It requires, because every person comes and create a lot of value for the organization, and seeing them leaving is painful. It has gone down, but yes, there are a lot to do. There are cases where we could have done something, and there are cases which are inevitable, that we are saying, okay, that person will go, and we are okay to let go. What is important is how much you are creating in a system a backup plan, because attrition is inevitable, people will come and go, but thing is, how much you can retain your people, how much focus you have for retaining your people, and also the plan, for backup plan, so that your system should not get disrupted. And that's where we have a lot of focus on our internal talent development, so that in case someone is leaving, one is we create a backup plan much in advance and start hiring the process, or we start preparing someone internally to take care of some of the vacant position. So yeah, that is attrition is part and parcel, but we are prepared and we keep ourselves prepared to take care of the situation.
And I think one of the things that I've observed in the last 12 months or so is that when people are interviewing with us, there is so much clarity being given about the roles that they are coming in.
Yes.
And one of those times, I remember Giri had asked me to interview somebody as an external, sort of a third-party interview in the sense. I'm not in the technology organization, but he said, you know what, this senior person is coming in, why don't you also look at? And I remember talking about all kinds of things about Lendingkart. And this person said, why is everyone Lendingkart asking me things which are basically telling me don't join? Because we were giving so much clarity and to basically being very transparent about what they are getting into.
Yes.
I mean, if somebody doesn't fit in, it's absolutely
That's
fine.
fine.
It's not necessary that.
So it's important. People should get clarity. Should be very clear before joining. It should not happen that people after joining say, "Boss, it's not what I expected in this organization before joining." So after joining, people should be very comfortable what they're signing up for.
Yep.
So that's important, and hence, if I look at my early attrition is less.
Yep.
The fact that we ensure people are very, very clear before joining the organization and then continue. So clarity and transparency for us is key.
So when it comes to clarity and talking about technology, I mean, of course, we have many other teams, but today we are talking specifically about technology vertical. It's important to know exactly what they're going to do. What does the technology team do? And we are, of course, going to have another podcast with Shiven and Partha and Nitin. But Giri, what's the technological developments that you guys are working on? What does the team do?
See, I mean, technology has been there forever, right? In different forms and shapes.
Yeah.
And if you go back to that existential question as to what does technology do, I mean, let alone what does technology team do at Lendingkart, it's all about leverage, right? And it's our ability as a group to do more, or to do something really fast, or to do something with probably a lower amount of expense. And hence, I think these three, the ability to become big, scale, the ability to become substantially faster, and the ability to do it while maintaining our resources at a certain standard or a level, right? That's what technology really enables. And we focus on these three aspects in every part that we participate in. And from a Lendingkart business point of view, all these three hold true as far as technology is concerned. So if you look at the broad projects that we work on, we are looking at how do we make sure that the loan application process itself is friction free, which means it's really smooth. It is not taxing for an individual to do that, and that's big for us. And enabling them to get credit really, really quick, what we call as turnaround time, from multiple weeks to a few days. And today, like you said, we can apply for a loan within 5 minutes and get a sanction, and then dispersal pretty much the next day. So that's really making things faster. And then if you look at how we are growing as an organization, there are about 5,000 towns, cities, villages in India where there is an MSME, and only about 1,000 of those are within 20 kilometers of a bank or a NBFC branch. And that means if you wanted to apply for a credit product, you'd have to make a one-way journey of 20 kilometers. Credit access is a big problem, right? And proud to say that with technology, we've enabled access to all of these individuals from their pretty much their shop or home. And that's essentially the core of what we do using technology.
Yeah, I think all of us in all parts of Lendingkart should be proud of the fact that this is so impactful.
True.
In terms of the
Very
MSMEs
much,
in
yeah.
India. I mean, there are not big factories everywhere, but the MSMEs are everywhere. I keep
Yeah.
telling my team also, you look outside the window and you'll probably see 5 MSMEs.
Yeah.
And the credit gap for them is so huge. And that's 30% of our economy. And whatever is being solved for them is basically solving for our country overall.
And that resonates with a lot of people, right? And what I've found is that going back to who joins Lendingkart, where do we have drop-offs? I've had engineers who say that my uncle runs a store and he doesn't have a GST certificate. It was very difficult for him to get maybe a loan, or saying that it's so challenging for them to even approach someone to get credit in a particular season because they have growth during that time. And when that problem resonates with individuals, they tend to come
They feel
and work.
connected because of it. They feel connected.
There is a
about
sense
this.
of purpose. Again.
The sense of purpose. That's what you're talking about. The sense of purpose is so high about people that they want to feel they want to get associated with Lendingkart, and that is very important. The kind of technology is happening today is disruptive.
So, but at the same time, when you are hiring very smart people, there are their own demands in terms of the kind of work they want to do.
True.
There is an execution element, there is a thinking element. How do you balance the two, or what takes precedence over what?
There's a mix of both. First of all, it's about how do we nurture them and continue to retain them. At Lendingkart, what we do is we allocate a certain amount of time and say that, look, go do what you want in this time. Whether it is clearing some debt that you've incurred in the systems, or figuring out a new technology stack that you want to bring into this ecosystem. You have that time, and then you are allowed to spend the time doing that, maybe even fail, that's fine. So that's one aspect. The second thing is that technology moves really fast. So what was cutting edge and state of the art maybe 3 years ago is going to be obsolete tomorrow. And hence there's this continuous learning exercise,
Yeah.
right? So if you think about this 3-year cycle, maybe every 1.5 year you have to learn something new. And we focus on that. And we say that, look, here's something that we've done in the past, it doesn't work for us anymore. How do we overhaul this? How do we change this and move forward? That keeps brains quite excited. So there's execution element, there's this thinking element, and then post that thinking element, the execution element kicks in again. But we place a lot of emphasis on execution. We place a lot of emphasis on outcomes, so that as a company, we are focused on the company goals as well.
Yeah. No, I'd read this joke sometime back on Twitter or somewhere, I think, I'm sure. There's a guy, an employee who comes to his boss and says, I want to quit. And the boss asks like, why, what happened? तो कहते हैं मेरी learning खत्म हो गई. तो boss कहता है अभी 4 ही तो महीने हुए काम करके. तो कहते हैं हाँ लेकिन टेक्नोलॉजी तो बदल गई. So that pace of change, whatever. But
that is very, very relevant for our millennials.
Yeah.
Very relevant.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and but at the same time, so one is this aspect because there's so much happening outside, and you're bringing that in for. I mean, as leaders, people, you, Shiven, Nitin, Partha, Kinjal, all of these people are bringing that in for the team members. But there should also be some sort of training programs, or what do you do that to sort of formalize this uptake of newer stuff that is in the emerging technology, whether it's AI, machine learning, what all those buzzwords that we keep hearing about. How do we go about doing that?
Various programs actually. Of course, there's a formal learning and development plan that Asit's team puts together. Everyone who joins Lendingkart gets access to a learning portal, and their managers work with them to create a plan, saying that here is a set of things that you need to do to pick up and maybe get a promotion or apply that and show value and then pick things. So that keeps the game going as well. It's something that not a lot of organizations do. They necessarily only pick up things that are very relevant to what they're working on a daily basis. But here we want to sort of push that a little bit and say that bring in something that you've learned from the resources that are made available to you.
Employees will also be watching this podcast, Giri.
Yes, of course.
तो comment section में हम लोग देख रहे हैं कि लोग बोल रहे हैं यार.
No, but in addition to that, if you look at today, and especially the organization Lendingkart, where we have a very, very heterogeneous population, where one side you have a lot of operation team members sitting in Ahmedabad, technology in Bangalore, we have to customize my learning program very, very important. How you're customizing a program to make it relevant for my people. Techies, they are not okay today to sit in a classroom and attend a training program, right? For them, it's important. Okay, give me bite-sized learning program. I'll learn while on the road, while sitting in the taxi or cab, and then learn those things. Vis-a-vis your operation in Ahmedabad, at times few of them, my L1, L2 support people. They feel, okay, can I have classroom session where my teacher, where it's a pen and paper session where I can ask my question directly to the person. And it's okay. You have both the sides, but you need to be very, very conscious about which population is looking at what kind of training program.
Right.
For technology team, obviously, when you look at not only the bite-sized learning program, what Giri just spoke about, we also encourage, can we have more hackathon? Because people want to have learning on the job. So have hackathon, have leadership. So we started leadership talk series. We started business talk series where we are inviting people from outside external world coming and talking in our office about that. Then technology is happening outside the organization. What are the key learning we can have from outside in perspective. We have business learning series where people inside the organization, business leaders, is coming and talking to the entire employees about what all the different groups are working in different areas. So the different plans we do to make them people updated and learn a different technology. Plus also Giri, in your team, they have session on Google also. Google invited the team.
Correct.
Google invited team to have course of 3 weeks course, or there's some certificate course they had. Microsoft has some course also. We also send people to attend on the training program organized by Google or Microsoft.
Like one example is our systems are becoming more and more 24/7, and then there's a special focus that you would need to ensure reliability of such systems. So site reliability is a big thing, and certain cloud providers come to us and say that, look, we would like to bring our expertise and experience and help your engineers upskill on that front. That's one. The other one is the leadership talks, right? We don't necessarily bring in people from the software world alone, right?
Yeah.
We bring in people who have worked in other industry areas, but the pattern of technology tends to be the same, right? It's about innovation, it's about startup culture, and there's a lot of learnings on that front as well.
Yeah, I remember like the fellow who has built the EV motorbike.
Yes.
That was so interesting to actually listen to. And other way around also, I remember once Giridhar invited me to speak to his team about our ads, how we went about building them and all that. And I saw so much curiosity coming through from people. So many interesting questions, very interesting perspectives. And that also helped me because I connected with some of these guys. I met them after the session, etc. और मेरा काम भी हो गया. मेरे को यार 1-2 pages बनाने जल्दी बना दोगे. अरे हाँ सर क्यों नहीं?
No, of course. See, on that front, Ram, actually, in the past we've had one program wherein we said that few individuals from a team would shadow people in a different team and then do what they are doing. Correct. So, I was assigned to capital markets, and then I understood how the entire process of fundraising goes. Correct. And eventually I was, almost on the verge of raising some amount of money for Lendingkart. So that was very interesting, right? Similarly, we had our CFO and our VP of sales shadow one of our technology teams as to how they go through sprints, how they go through design documents, understand requirements, and deliver code. So very interesting cross-functional program, unique to Lendingkart. I haven't seen this, in many organizations.
Yeah, that stuff should go on your CV. If you made the CFO write a code.
No, also this also is important in how much you are, encouraging people to know about other functions.
Yes.
You are providing an opportunity to know people, to let know people what other functions do.
Yeah.
And how so for techies it's important, and technology, what happens is you people are joining engineers. My SD1, 2 are joining the company, and they have given a particular area to code. And we want to ensure that the person at the ground level understand what every code change impact to the end customer.
Yes.
That is important for them to know that what a single change is going to disrupt where.
Correct.
Or make create somewhere great impact. So that was the learning program. We try to do it beyond classroom and standard typical training programs.
Yeah. Let's also now zoom out a little bit, and something that impacts our hiring, our retention also. When fintech as a buzzword became big in a sense in, let's say, mid 2010s probably, I don't know, few years back, not too long back, but few years back. And it was the cool kid, like I am in fintech, was a cool thing to say, right? And because of that, now there are so many fintechs now. Probably in this entire building is full of just fintechs, right? Yes. In Bangalore, you go anywhere, you'll probably see a fintech. How does that impact us? Because now engineers have a lot of choices, and they have another company waiting to give them another offer or whatever. There is problem of plenty for some people, I guess.
Yes, true.
How do we navigate that situation?
So BFSI has always been very popular, right? I mean, financial services have been very popular. I think it's just that now, with more and more technological innovation impacting those areas, people are very excited about it. So there's a lot of scope, right? And while it started a few years ago, the reason why it wouldn't get old or boring is because there are so many aspects to financial services. I mean, it sort of forms the base of everything we do. Money forms the basis of everything we do, right?
Yes.
So there are different areas, like we are very specific. We are working for the MSME segment. We have a full platform ecosystem for credit underwriting, origination, collections, distribution. So even if you look at just Lendingkart, with its narrow focus on, or rather with its focus on just MSME segment, there are so many platforms here. And if you expand a little, that grows. So I wouldn't say that it would get boring anytime soon.
It won't. It won't. So if you look at today, if you ask me, still fintech is cool. It is. It was there. It is today also. So for a lot of engineers, fintech still is a go-to place in the industry. They want to join us, and what makes us different from other companies is the kind of work which we do, the disruptive technology we are working on, the kind of impact we are creating for the industry and for the entire ecosystem. for people, it is important that how much they are partnering with Lendingkart to create the history
Yeah.
in our success story,
sense.
right? All the tech and if you look at Lendingkart, last 5 quarters we are making profit. So it's not only it's not only about the fintech. The impact we are creating in fintech is much more more than a lot of other companies. We are doing that, and that is helping us definitely. And one thing, something which I've realized here, while in this industry for last 23 years in HR, something I realized here is I don't see any attrition, or barring 1 or 2 people, no one spoke about less challenging work in Lendingkart.
Yeah.
No one. Not a single person left because of less challenging work and I'm leaving. That shows us that the kind of challenging work you're giving to people is much what they're expecting, and that is another reason for people to join us.
Do you credit the business teams for that, creating more challenges for your teams?
No, of course.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
think, I think that's very important. It's very important that you bring this up, right? I mean, there was this pivot we had at one point in time from disbursing a lot on our own book to doing co-lending. You could see the entire company getting excited about it, right? And then our plans changing, and we reoriented ourselves, and our co-lending platform became big. And then at one point we said that, look, we have to bring PSUs onto our platform. And that was another big thing. We had a lot of engineers, product managers get really excited about it and solve for it. Now we are in a place where we are saying that, we've done all of this with our peer institutions. We have to get the data in to be able to reason about it, to be able to understand book performance and what have you, in a way that is scalable, right? And that's getting people excited now, right? We are now talking about customer lifetime value, and then going beyond the credit underwriting models that we have to how do we look at different products, that a MSME customer would need financial products along their lifetime. So it continues to be very exciting, and I mean, definitely business teams help us, yes.
Yeah. But so we've talked about a lot of factors which are influencing hiring or somebody's decision to join us, how we retain people, etc. A very important factor, and which I've realized over whatever number of years I have worked with, 20 plus years of experience, the role of the team head, so to speak, is crucial in all this. It flows from the top, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
I mean, for you, for example, as leading the entire technology vertical, you influence a lot of decisions that people would end up making.
True.
How do you see that responsibility? I mean, one is obviously, you must be already aware that, there is a lot of influence you have on so many people, what you say, what you do, and if there is a difference between what you say and what you do, and people pick on that. But there is a big thing that you can influence in terms of not just hiring, but also keeping people where they are.
Right. So, I think the way I look at this is really about communicating the organizational goals and what are the steps that we are going to take in order to achieve those organizational goals, and being consistent about it. And also, if we are changing direction at some point in time, giving the right reasons and the honest reasons for why we are having to do that. So that sort of settles the matter in most cases, right? And in order to do this, Ram, there is a zoom in, zoom out kind of a thing that needs to be done. What I do is I interact with every team on a monthly basis pretty much, right? Talk to them one-on-one, sometimes without their managers, helping them understand the reasons for what we are doing at that point in time. So this works quite well, and luckily I've been able to do that at Lendingkart, as opposed to say maybe drawing up a PPT or a presentation and sharing that here is what the roadmap is looking like, here is what we are going to do over the next 3 months, and then for the next 3 months not being able to not connecting with them. So that's one part. And on the decisions aspect of it, right, I would say that it's lead by example. I mean, if I tell them that, look, maybe if a customer is waiting for a loan, and I would want us to make sure that we are customer first. If I get an opportunity, then I would say that, okay, here, where is the system where this loan is stuck, and then maybe enable business to disburse that loan. That gives them a sense that this is important, right? And like you said, it's show and tell, and have to do what you say.
I mean, some of the worst traits in leaders sometimes is when they say, do as I say, not as I do. You know? And that has a very negative impact across teams. So it's always better, especially when you go higher up, and not lose touch with that aspect that, what you're doing is exactly what team will follow up
Right.
on.
Very true. Because if you look at also in terms of the focus, and we have a lot of inclusivity also. When we talk about our goal, challenges, plan for next year, we include our people also to talk about plan. And what you mentioned very rightly for our people and for especially for millennials, because if you look at today, 2025 is going to be 75% population in across industry is going to millennials.
Yeah.
So your 75% population are millennials. You have to change your way of working a little bit here and there. They are demanding. They need to know what's happening. Why you're changing the rule of the game. You can't just say it is top down. You do what is being asked to do, whereas they want to know why. Because today they want a job. They don't need a job, right? So for them, it's on their condition.
Yeah.
I need to be very, very conscious about the fact that yes, that's true, and so that you need to be very clear what you are proposing them, what your strategy is, how you're changing the strategy, and at the top, you need to be very responsible because you have to take care of so many people under you.
So it's good that you bring that up, because when you talk about Gen Z and millennials, it's also about the environment. It's very important for them, what kind of environment they are working into and what kind of environment they are working in. What are we looking at that? How are we looking at this aspect of our culture, the environment we provide to the Gen Z and millennial workers?
So for them, the environment what we provide is open, transparent. Encourage them to ask questions. Encourage them to ask the status quo, because it's important. They are we don't prescribe what they need to do.
Yeah.
We allow them to do what they prefer do in the right manner till the time they are creating an impact and delivering the deliverables.
Yeah.
So it is open, and we don't want managers to micromanage, because gone are the days where these kids need mentoring, coaching on every step. While it's important, you need to have senior leaders around you to take care of your basic questions, clarifications, but not allow them to do their work. They are smart enough to manage it. It's a matter of how open you are, transparent you are, and creating a space for them. So that's
makes a lot of, I think it's as basic as that it can be.
As basic, but it's very important, because sometimes at times we need to remove some of those unconscious bias. What happens is you unconsciously do something which you feel that is important for me to do it, whereas those people don't want. Right? Yeah. Let me guide him. Let me tell him how to do it.
Don't smother them, basically.
Don't do that. So create a place where they can breathe.
Yeah, so from an environment perspective, I think, Asit, you've been in various organizations, right? We are also very flat.
We are flat.
We are very flat, and people have access to senior leadership very, very easily. If you talk about the impact that we generate, we encourage people to ask, what is this going to change in Lendingkart if I do this? And that doesn't happen very often in a lot of other companies, and particularly in the BFI sector, right? I mean, in the financial industry, a lot of times when people are working on projects, they are very far removed from the actual impact. But here the impact is in your face, and we encourage them to ask what that impact is. And the fact that we are very, very flat, everyone is accessible, makes it even more easy. And that's a very important part of our environment, I would say.
That's very important. See, I have seen some of the organizations where it is top down in terms of, okay, this year compensation cycle is changing from this month to this month. No question asked, it is from top down. And if you have to make something like here, you have to tell your people why it is happening, why you are making these changes, because they need to know why. And you should be able to answer those. You can't shy away from answering those questions, because for them it is important.
Yep. And so what is also important for people, and maybe at all ages, not just for very young people, what's the future going to be like? I mean, what's there already pretty much. But what when you are entering a company, what you also want to know is what are you working on for the future?
Right.
Because that's not something that you're talking in public, right?
True.
So what are those things possibly that you could possibly tell people about? These are the things that we are currently working on. Broadly speaking, which maybe become very interesting for someone who's just watching this for the first time. Or
Right. There's a lot of data-driven technology that we are bringing into the company. I mean, earlier that was restricted to the credit area, but now we are looking at that in entire journey and even the post credit dispersal journeys of our customers, right? We are talking about chatbots, we are talking about AI in flows, understanding customer sentiment through their voice and analyzing that voice. We are saying that there are new ways of doing audit out there, maybe by using blockchain kind of technologies. There's a whole lot out there, and traditional credit ecosystems talk about a loan management system and a loan origination system, but we talk about microservices, an architecture that is open with APIs, making things faster by using account aggregator ecosystem, participating in the ONDC network and helping SMEs get access to finance. So it's very fertile, it's a very exciting ecosystem. Our regulator is very proactive, and we engage with those regulators as well. We work with Sahamati, for example, who's a non-profit, and then we work with RBI working groups on defining the account aggregator APIs. We are working with other organizations wherein in the context of the problems that we are solving, how do we enable security in a non-intrusive way? So it's very exciting. I mean, take the example of maybe something that's going to come in future, which is data privacy bills, about tokenization technologies, PII encryption in a very different way as opposed to how it's been done in the past. So all of this is very exciting, and I personally look forward to this.
Yeah, and I think the fin infrastructure in India is probably the best in the world now.
It is.
And we are at the middle of the center of the entire action that's happening, especially in the lending
center
space.
of the change as well. Change as well, because I would like to consider ourselves as that bridge between the customer and the traditional credit ecosystem.
Sure.
And we are taking the entire ecosystem along.
Correct.
We are enabling DSAs. Payouts for DSAs would take many weeks. Now they happen within a few hours with Lendingkart, right?
Our partners are joining us because of the technology that we are bringing to
Absolutely,
them.
yes.
Nobody's our competitor. Everybody's our partner.
Yes.
Just to add, Giri, here on this, if I connect my my employee and the need, today the employees need for everything instant gratification, right? What I'm doing, I need to see the result immediately. Same as that, the employee experience. For them, employee experience, the concept of employee experience has changed significantly from in last 10 years. Today, I don't want to submit my bills, physical bills of reimbursement in a hard copy with filling a form and then sending it to a corporate office for reimbursement. What are we looking at? We have tied up with the payroll, our HRMS, our payroll vendor. They are providing us. We are launching it very soon for all the employees. And in fact, it is going to help a lot of employees internally because a lot of people are feet on street. For them, submitting bills at far corners of somewhere in India, it takes time for them to send the bills. Now they can just click a picture of the bill on mobile through WhatsApp. It will go to their payroll for the processing part.
Wow,
so that's
brilliant.
going to create a lot of impact and making the employee experience significant change.
Correct.
For them. So that we are going to have going to introduce for people. Also, in terms of today, every organization, talent management is not new for industry. Every companies they do talent management program. What we are trying to do is how to make it more tech enabled, and that's where we are looking at because when you make it tech enabled, a lot of things can happen on the system. And then follow up with all the talent management program for people is going to be very, very smooth for leadership team and for the organization. So I'm seeing this technology going to have very, very impact for us.
Awesome.
Especially digital.
HR is helping tech, tech is helping HR. Wow.
I think HR is helping more to tech than tech is helping us.
Respectfully disagree.
But let's look at 5 things. I just want to sort of bring out a list, right? 5 things that you would want to tell people who are interested in joining Lendingkart. Why should they join Lendingkart?
You want to start?
There are a lot, but
just one, Asit.
Okay.
5.
I would say people-centric organization.
That's 1.
I think you will be pushed out of your comfort zone.
2.
Transparent communication.
3.
You will be working in developing an ecosystem not just in an organization.
That's awesome.
Encourage to innovate.
Oh, brilliant. We will have a lot more patent applications coming through soon.
Oh yes,
Most
we are hoping
certainly,
so.
yes.
And let me end it now. I think we've spoken a lot about various things, but let's also look at some funny aspects, especially with, I'm an engineer too by education.
Really?
How unfortunate.
For engineering, yes.
Yeah.
But you know,
Good
back in the
decision.
day when I was working in the tech space and we used to interview a lot of engineers, I'm sure you would also have some funny, very quick funny stories about and engineers and interviews. There is always fun that happens. And a friend of mine, my colleague, was interviewing somebody, and I will not name the college because that's also a touchy point for engineers.
Definitely.
Right? And he said he was an electrical engineer, so he asked him like there were technical questions happening, and he saw that the guy had never studied properly, obviously. So he said, अच्छा ये जो फैन है, सीलिंग फैन पता है आपको? हाँ, उसमें मोटर कौन सी होती है? एसी मोटर होती है, डीसी मोटर? तो बंदा कहता है एसी मोटर होती है. जी हाँ, ठीक है. तो अगर डीसी मोटर लगा देंगे तो क्या होगा? पंखा चलेगा? तो बंदा कहता है, सर पंखा चलेगा तो सही, लेकिन उसमें वो बात नहीं होगी. That was a real interview. It was an actual interview.
Yeah, but Ram, you know, brushless DC motors are all the rage now.
Yeah, okay. All right. I hope you have had some similar instances probably. But these days, I think engineers are a lot more clued in. I think a lot of people are studying very hard. And I can see that a lot of people are walking in or bringing in a lot of knowledge themselves.
Lot of knowledge.
And that's our recruitment philosophy also. You know, when we work with the HR team, I try and reinforce this a little bit even through our processes, saying that, look, you know, we want more diversity. We don't want a clone army, right? A lot of times when we talk about diversity, inclusion, it's about, okay, male, female, those are, you know, the kind of conversations that we have. But what we want is a team that brings in a different perspective, right? It could be from a completely different area of, you know, where they may have worked in the past. We necessarily don't want people who are, you know, exclusively in the banking software, right? You know, we want people who are probably working in the hyper-local industry, who have probably built core banking systems. And there's a lot of learning that happens for the organization and the way we build systems because of that.
अरे अब तो दोबारा serious हो गए.
While he's speaking about clone army, he said he's the one with so much of purple squirrel syndrome.
Purple squirrel syndrome.
Yeah, purple squirrel syndrome, where he want to look at every candidate replica of the one who left the organization. I want the same look and feel and size and fit of the person, boss. नहीं मिलेगा. And then say hiring नहीं हो रही है.
His standards are very high, isn't it?
Very high.
He's not compromising on his standards, Asit.
No, I think
It's not helping him any which ways.
I think from that perspective, right, what we've been doing, Ram, and you've done a few interviews for my team, right? So really, I mean, to sort of bring in a completely different perspective, because what I look for in an engineer is probably what, you know, is informed by what I've done in the past. But what you are looking for in an engineer is equally important for the organization.
Yeah.
Ram, to take one interview, and mind it, I'm not going to invite you for any other interviews in HR.
Let's not go there. But brilliant. This is awesome. Thank you so much, Asit. Thanks a lot, Giri.
Thank you so much, Ram, for the opportunity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you so much. And I hope you had a good time watching this. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for watching the Lendingkart show. All our episodes are available on our YouTube and Spotify channels. I'm Ram Deshpande, signing off. Take care. Bye-bye.